Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Actualize series. If you're new to this channel and you love all things on personal development, spirituality, and entrepreneurship, ensure you subscribe. There are a lot of fun videos and educational videos that I do on this topic. And today I'm keeping the theme running of the Actualize series as I've got another very special guest with me who has brought her vision to life, has brought her genius to life in a very remarkable fashion. She's the owner of a multi-six-figure coaching business that helps women transform their lives while growing their business. She does this through running powerful online programs and luxurious retreats in some of the most beautiful locations around the world, all while working no more than 15 hours a week, if you don't mind. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my good friend, Miranda Marriott. Good to have you here.
Thanks, Jordan. What an intro. I feel very excited.
No, gotta do it when it's due, and yeah,
Yeah,
you
it's great.
deserve it. I gotta thank you first off because we did this earlier in the year when it was just like, yeah, we're just gonna do it for a book that I'm writing. But and it was a great chat. It was really good information, but yeah, we couldn't use it for the episode because
Yeah, I was walking at the beach and my marketing guy I've had for a few years, I had a really important meeting with him the other day with someone else. He's like, Miranda, you have to sit down for this. I'm not at the beach, whatever. I'm like, in winter, it's all good. I'm sitting down, like, I'm in my office. Anyway,
Yeah, and it was great settings too. Like, if we could use because you were by Brighton Beach and the sun was out summer in Australia. It was really, really cool. But anyhow, we're here
yeah,
now.
yeah.
So we just off camera, we are talking about your upcoming retreat to Fiji.
Fiji.
I want to start there with the pilgrimage because this container that you've built, I mean, super cool. Like, do you want to just give us a little bit of a background as to what that's about?
Yeah, well, so much of my journey and what I create is just because I'm like, this has really worked for me. This has transformed my life. Like, let's create this for women. And for me, retreats have been, two things, masterminds and like deep coaching, and then also intensive retreats have been the two things that have completely altered my being, and every retreat I go on, completely like different human being on the other side. The ones I've attended and participated in, but then my own as well. Like I receive so much and I just become another soul, on a complete other level. And so, yeah, I just got the download to create a container. Like the pilgrimage is a mastermind and deep intimate coaching space with me. And then it includes like these retreats around the world as well. And yeah, I went to Bali last year and then Peru, we just got back, and then I got Fiji in October. So they've all got a different theme, but incredibly powerful, the most beautiful connections that I have with women. And that's like one of the core things is you just have such level of intimacy and depth. You're not in your normal environment. You're in a completely new space. You're very open to receive. You receive from the land because I love travel in and of itself. I've had transformative experiences being in my travel spiritual pilgrimages myself, and so then to pair that with coaching and transformation and intention and women and circle and depth and intimacy and activities and you know challenging circumstances that arise your ego, like it's just all a recipe for brilliance and for genius to come and arise and for you to be a completely new person in the business. And every time I've done a retreat or been on retreats, like came out the other side and I've got all this abundance, all this magnetism. Like people, I went to Egypt a few years ago on a retreat I attended, didn't work there, didn't do anything, just went into the temples, did my work, my spiritual work, and my rituals, and then like all these people were messaging me while I was there, like wanting to work with me, and I didn't even tell anyone I had a container open or anything. And then I got home, and within a week of getting home, it was full. And it normally takes me 2 months to launch these containers. Like, it's
Yeah,
like the
that's
level
so
of
epic.
and just magic that comes from retreats is just indescribable. So
Why do
that's
you
what I'm doing.
think? Yeah, so that super super cool, and yeah, I've heard that you've shared that Egypt story with me a few times off camera. But what do you think opens up when you go traveling that wouldn't open up if you're in your normal environment?
Your normal environment has so many cues to remind you, and Joe Dispenza talks a lot about this of like your identity,
Yeah,
wake up, you have your same ritual, you have your same house, you have your same people, you talk the same, you speak about the same problems. Like you're just constantly like living in the past in that you're just being reminded of who you are, who your identity is, like this limited view and just completely incorrect perception of you, that you're just living. And majority of our brain wants to be in automatic mode. It
mhm,
wants to can repeat the past. That's what survival is. It restores and saves a lot of energy by doing that. And we're addicted to certain emotions. We're addicted to problems. We're addicted to patterns because that's our norm. That's our set point. That's what our body's addicted to chemically.
mm,
So when you go on a retreat or you travel and you get out of that, retreats, particularly spiritual pilgrimages that I've done myself. I mean, I know how to guide myself through these things anyway. So I've done intentional trips and travel that have done this also, but most people don't know how to do that. So when they travel, they're just having a holiday. But retreats, particularly, like you're going for an intention. People sign up to my containers and their life begins to change instantly. They get the code and the download of what's being, energetically there. Straight away, their life starts changing, from the
wow,
decision of going. I decide to run the retreat, and whatever the theme is that I'm working on, it starts working on me as soon as I've decided, like it's like I get the initiation a lot before everyone else. But yeah, you're going to this new environment, you're setting intentions, you're being very intentional, you're carving out time, you're deciding and investing away from your family, away from norms, away from habits, away from comforts. I have women who went with me 25, yeah, 5 hours away on the other side of the world to Peru. They've got families and kids and they did 2 weeks away. Like they never did that, never done that. Like that in itself, to decide that and say, I care that much about me, I'm investing this in me, investing this time, I'm putting away everything else. I'm just here, I'm present. We're in innocence, we're completely open. There's new people and sights and scenes everywhere. Like it's all new. We're this open vessel to just be receiving. We're carving out time, we're putting our phones away, we're putting all the norms away to just be open to the new. And it's just a deep cellular shift. There's no normal cues to remind us of things. So we're just open to who can we be in this limitless space. Um, I think there's so much also connection that happens in between sessions and talking
yeah,
and
yeah,
discussions and these sort of impromptu things that just, the women I have, they're all brilliant and they all work together. Like it's a creation together, right? Like we all support each other. Um, and then also there's just like life challenges and triggers in travel and in retreats that like bring up your shit more than just sitting on a Zoom and just like an hour. Yep,
yeah,
cool. It's intensive. It's a week, it's 2 weeks in the stuff. Like that's deep imprinting changes. Most of the time, if you're doing it over longer, like it's sort of an hour here and then you go back to your normal
yeah,
life. Like
yeah.
all of those things mean recipe for transformation.
I love how you said co-creation because I could imagine that the people that go, like they're all like there's something magical about a group coming together and you're meant to meet someone there, you're meant to connect and you have the right conversation, right time. It's like, oh my God, how did I know that this
Yeah,
is
and Peru particularly, like when I do these journeys, like I'm also co-creating with the land and like the journey because Peru we were traveling. So, some retreats I have are in one space and that's a different journey. But when you're traveling and journeying, like I was working with where we were, the sites we were in, the magic that the land wanted to share with us and the shamans. And like I was sort of, working with all of that, plus the group on top of that as well. And working with what's arising in the field and constantly using my intuition to change what we were doing. So it matched. So yeah, the group and the land and things itself as well. Like it's just, I've been to places and like I went to Cambodia and I was called to go there intuitively, like on my own travel journey, on my own pilgrimage. And I had 3 days in this temple. I just looked at this tree and this temple that I was meant to be. And I just sat there, like, and I just received these the downloads when the tree was just talking to me. It sounds pretty crazy, but I had this amazing insights and like love opening, like heart opening things that I'd try to work on my relationship to my love life and God for years. And in 3 days in this one space with this sacred tree and temple, like completely obliterated, these blocks I'd had for years.
Whoa.
And I then opened up a relationship, like when I got back, like that, which it wouldn't have happened. I tried for years, I
Mm,
couldn't,
mm.
and then bang, I in Africa had this, depth of presence. I just wanted to lay on the ground and lie on the grass and just ground all the time. Like,
Yeah.
but I had never felt a level of presence and
Yes.
innocence as there. Like the land and the places have energetic
Yeah.
components that work on us as well.
Mm, I really believe that. As you're talking, I'm thinking about my travels at the moment. And like the other day, I was in a church where it had an organ that apparently Mozart played back in the day. And this lady was playing one of his songs, and there was tenors in there. And just being there, I came back and I go, God, I feel like I got in touch with my own artistic muse on just a whole other level. And I've gone back to that church every day just to like be close to that organ and that structure.
Yeah.
And I can't explain what it is, but something shifted. And it's like,
Yeah. It
oh
does
wow.
cellular work, like, and you don't even know like what's happening. But when I was in Egypt, every temple I went to, it moved through my chakras. I didn't know this was going to happen. Didn't No one had told me that happens or like, but I went to one and I literally stepped foot off the boat onto this temple and then bang, like my what was the first one? Yeah, my head, my third eye sort of area crown just started throbbing, and then
Whoa.
this stuff was happening. And then the second I got off the boat, back on the boat and off the temple, it stopped. I was in the next one and my ears and like all of this throat area, I then
Yep.
went to another one. I was getting punched in my soul. It's
Whoa.
out and I would stop and I'd walk in and I would go again. I was like, what on earth? Like
That's
I've never had
crazy.
things happened in Peru, the similar. There is physiological stuff that land
Mm,
and sacred spaces that have had years of devotion and prayer and whatever put into them and music
mm,
prayer or whatever it is, like
mm,
they're sacred and it will work on your cellular body and shift things. As I said, I didn't do anything. I just literally go to
mm.
these temples, like I'm open, and then all this stuff happens. It's like it's magic.
And to people watching, because obviously what something in the title has indicated abundance and what have you. They might be thinking, well, okay, this is great. Body shifts and travel. What about the money? What a theme I'm really wanting to speak to here. It sounds like what retreats do is they open up this abundance in time, in space for you to bring in the money, the wealth, and everything you would
The
want.
thing is, money isn't separate to us. So whatever is happening inside of us is just mirrored, not just with money, in love, everything. Everything that's happening in here is then just mirrored and projected outside, right? We are co-creating
Mm,
all. So if
mm,
we stuck blocks, even blocks in our chakra points, or just there's trauma in our body we haven't moved, or like the whatever it is, like we're blocking abundance. We're blocking our magnetism. We're blocking magnetism of love and every form, vitality, health, whatever it is. There is so much proof of the inner emotional world affecting our physiological health and how much that's creating physical elements. I've done so much work emotionally and energetically that then just fixes a cold or a sore neck or whatever, because it's all
mm,
connected. So money is no different. Money is just reflecting things inside. If we're blocked inside, money will be blocked. If we're free and open inside and in our highest vibration, money will be attracting, coming to us also, at a high vibration. So yeah, I've done like my first retreat that I did. I was in a week-long retreat. It was this embodiment retreat, just about energetic clearings and emotional work and whatever. We didn't talk business once, into money once, nothing. It was just doing energetic work.
mm.
And then 2 days after, I had the download of my alchemy program, which has made me over $1 million in the last, couple of years,
Yeah.
well over. And it just came to me, and I was having probably 20K months at the time or something. I then launched it exactly what it told me. It literally came in 10 minutes, just wrote it all down, told me what to do. Like, I just got these ideas of what to do intuitively and how to market it. And next month I had 100K month. that was off the back of doing a week-long retreat just in embodiment and energetics. And I just cleared, my space. I cleared energetically for myself, got myself into a high vibration, and then that and ideas and God and the universe and superconscious can tell me, things. I can be open to receive it, because it was probably trying to tell me for a while, but I was so blocked I couldn't see it, right?
Yeah.
And then I was in alignment with it. If we're scarce and not in a high vibration, we're in low, and we're in shame and fear and blah blah blah, and we're trying to attract money, and do all these things, it doesn't happen. I've done it before. I've chucked $20,000 on ads and thought, cool, that will do, and nothing happens. And then the second I clear my energetic field, move some fears or whatever it is, happens.
Yeah, what you said there, money isn't separate to us. It's just like boom. It's like, whoa. I heard you say it before, but yeah, just now, I'm like, fucking hell, that really landed.
Dominant creative force with money, right? Like, so much of the world, and the way I used to perceive myself was that, and this, we are for everything. It's not just money. Like, what I say about money, it's the same for love and all of it, right?
Mm,
Money's just a portal we can learn from, and business, but the same principles apply in everything. So you can use this in anything you want to create in life. But we are the predominant creative force. We are the powerful one co-creating everything, and so often with money, people believe they are powerless and they're hopeless and they're stuck, and there's no, right? My whole life, for 33 years of my life, I believed money was not about me, and I could do nothing to, everything I tried, like, it didn't matter. I still had the same patterns. My dad, when I grew up, who was on a farm, and so he had that yo-yo thing of feast and famine, and it wasn't within their control. It was the weather and the gods and the whatever, right? And so I imprinted the same, and thought too, like, so then he had experiences in jobs where there was a government decision and he'd lose his job. Guess what happened to me? I had jobs where I would have a government decision, or something, job would end or whatever, and it was not in my control. And I couldn't control jobs or money, or, like, it was all out of my control, right? So then coming to the business land, that's what I believe. And I do all this action. I do 20 sales calls. I do everything the coaches tell me, spend $300,000, any amount of money that comes into my business, just straight out into coaches and programs, and can't make a $10,000 a month for 3 years in my business, like working my ass off, doing everything I can. Right. But I thought I was a victim. I thought I was powerless. I looked back when I started to learn this stuff about money, and that I'm a co-creator. And I was firstly pissed off, because I'm like, no, I'm not, because I'm trying everything and it's not happening. So first I had to face that. But then I looked back at my journey and I was like, oh my goodness, I created everything I wanted and didn't want,
Yeah.
When I had those job experiences, I believed that I was out of control and that these big entities would, and that's what happened, When I first had my business, for some reason, like, we're sort of cutting story bits here, right? But
it's all good. It's going well.
Started my business when I was 6 months pregnant. My husband and I broke up. He cheated on me very suddenly. We couldn't work through it. And so we ended our relationship. I was 10 years, in love with him for 10 years. He was my best friend. I was 6 months pregnant. I was, having to be a single mum by myself before I was even a mum. Get over a relationship breakdown of someone I loved and was, very dear to my life. And I was on mat leave, so I had no money, and I was going to start a well-being business, but I was suicidal and depressed because my life just went shut down in 1 month all of a sudden, So that was the beginning of my business. Like, a few weeks in of all of that, I was like, no, I'm going to keep creating. I'm not going to let these problems get to me. Like, I'm not going to let this kill my vision. Like, it's already destroyed a lot in my life. I'm not going to let it destroy this. So I was like, I'm going to be with my son, and then I'm going to have my business, So I went into my business. Now, the thing is, I believed in God and the universe at the time. And I was like, okay, my husband's like, but God and the universe hasn't. And they're going to give me the exact amount of money I got in my paycheck in my old job. They're going to give it to me. Like, I just believed it. I don't know why. I just did, right? Every month, without fail, I got the exact amount. If I added it all up, when got a government gift here, or this here, and my job here, and work, business here, it always added up to the exact, like, number that I used to get in my salary, Now that happened for that year. Then I left this area. I went to the beach. For some reason, I thought God and the universe were back there not with me. The first month I stopped believing it, I got $0 in that time. I then stopped my business and I started working on my insecurity, my emotions, because I was in real stress. For 2 months, I worked on my inner world. People just started coming and money started coming, even though I wasn't doing any business. People referred to whatever. Then I had a trigger. A few months later, I had a big meltdown, got upset. Garage breaks, heater breaks, money stops. It's just like I can tell you blow by blow. I tried for years to create this money and consistent money. 1 month, I learned about the energy world and this stuff I'm teaching you now. I meditated for that month. 3 years in my business, never created 10K a month. I meditated for a 10K month that month. I did nothing else. Didn't do anything. Didn't do any action. Meditated and just hold the vision and believed I was going to get 10K. Created a 10K month from meditating. The next month, I doubted I could do that again. Didn't do it again. Like, do you see how every single thing I make, I then start creating 10K and more and keep going. And I did this energetic work. I was like, I'm not going below a 10K. Guess what? Never went below a 10K. But there was 1 month I doubted I thought I'd lost my magic. I went below a 10K, started freaking out, thinking I've lost my mojo, right? See how it's reflecting. But then I was like, no, this isn't lost my mojo. This was the ebb before the flow. This was the little ebb before the tsunami of abundance comes. Yes. Then I have a 100K month that month. Like, do you see what? Like, it is just projecting.
Yes. Inner becomes outer is what I'm getting here.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go, because that was incredible what you just shared. There's so many different examples, but for a lot of people, through observation, even knowing myself, when things were really, really hard for me, when you're in that spot and you got and you're in survival, and it's harder, it's just harder to stay in that heart space, the super conscious. What did you do to make that transition from, all right, this is just not working, to that first, okay, I'm getting some consistent money, and even to just feel like this is working, this magic stuff's real?
Yeah. Okay. 2 ways that you can sort of do it. I did it one way, one time, and then I did the other way, right? So I'll tell you both. So for people in business, the first way I did it, because that time when I was really freaking out and I was a single mom and money'd stopped, but I didn't know, and I started doing inner work. I actually got a job that paid me like 2 days a week, whatever. It just covered my bills, because it's not great to be in the nervous system, like in scarcity, desperation, whatever. And so many coaches and business owners I talk to, they're really like anti-jobs. It's like, it is stupid to stay in desperation thinking you're going to create money like in that space, and also not have any money to invest in a mentor that knows what to do to help you any further. Like, it's just the most ridiculous, insane thing, right? So it's insanity to continue the same thing and expect. I know people have done years of this, and it's like, what are you doing? Like, so that's one way. And that's one way I did at the beginning, to just have a job that gave me some money. And then I did my business in the other time. And that having the job meant business was a bonus, and anything that came in, I didn't need it. Because as soon as you need money, no. As soon as you need it, clients and people coming to you will sense the desperation. They'll sense the need. And you are less powerful than them. They have the money and you need them. And they'll sense that, and they won't. And they'll sense the lacking integrity, or because I'm not making a decision about whether it's also good for them. I'm making it because I need money, So that's the first thing, from a practical way. The second way, I got into $20,000 of debt because I joined up with these coaches that were in strategy and whatever, and I was paying $5,000 a month, but I hadn't got consistent money in my business yet. And when I started making that decision and being with them, they told me these things that were not in alignment with me. And so I had 4 months of $0 in my business, which was the worst time I'd ever had in my whole years of work, because I was doing what they told me and not what my intuition was saying, right? So I got into $20,000 debt. And as a single mom, I borrowed some money from my family, and then there was no more to borrow, So I was actually looking at having to lose my house, and I didn't know where I was going to live or what, right? I was really this was, and as a mom, I can't explain to you the fear and the guilt that I put myself and my son in. And this was years into my business of trying as well. So I felt a lot of shame, a lot of guilt, a lot of fear, like gripping fear, right? The next month I had a $20,000 month, and that's when it never went back again from this. So this is my breaking point, and I'm going to tell you what I did, you know? So the first thing I did is that I stopped putting energy into what these people were telling me and the strategies and, you know, all this physical stuff.
Mm.
I started actually trusting my intuition and putting where my energy work and my intuition was like my fundamental that I worked on, you know, because that's when I started learning about the superconscious and the energy world. Before that, I didn't really know. And the thing was, like, when I was following these strategies and the physical actions, like, it just wasn't in alignment. It wasn't in an energetic alignment. What they were telling me to do, and they told me to do these things that I didn't get excited about. It wasn't who I was. It was working for them, but not me. It wasn't my genius. Actually stopped that, and I started following my genius. I had a background in psychology and energy, and like, well, you know, and so I started teaching that stuff, even though they said that wasn't going to make money, you know. So that was the first thing, following my guts, my excitement, my energy, my intuition. First thing. Second thing was I actually came from a place of service out of my mission. Instead of worrying about money, I really trusted that if I serve people and I give them value and I actually care about them, then the money is going to come. Because if I give value, I will receive value. There's a law of compensation in the universe. If you sow, you will reap. You know, you give value, you will at some point. You know, I didn't know when, but I knew it so hard and just like was like not so work hard, but like really focused on their end result and serving them. And that was my priority, that I would somehow receive something from that myself. You know, I didn't have to worry about the receiving. I just think about what I was, and that vibration of service and love and dedication to them was very magnetic. The desperation and my fear and all that before and needing them to pay me like wasn't, you know. The last thing I did was I actually daily, and this was multiple times a day, went into whenever I felt scarce and fear and whatever shame or whatever that dense energetic was that I was feeling, I would do a truth circle on it. I would speak out what I was afraid of, what was the worst case scenario. I would let myself feel the fear of like becoming homeless as a single mom and all of that. And then I would go into my vision and what I desire and what I want, you know, and what I really see is what I want, and my imagination of what future I want and what I see is coming. And I go into, you know, I feel that and move on. I'd get triggered again. I'd go back into like my trigger, and then I'd go back. And I was like this at that point, because I was in so much fear, I had to do that multiple times a day. That whole month, it was just constantly, you know. And as it got better and better, as I started to then, because the energy would start to go from fear into more power and
yeah.
it was just like a seesaw. It just started to change, and I had to do it less and less. And then, but that's when the tipping scale changed, because my energy was in more abundant space than it was in fear, you know? That's
I
how I did everything.
Yeah, and like the first time we did the interview, that was one of the big things I took, because earlier in the year, I mean, things were pretty tough for me, and like, as you know, if you guys are going, whoa, you know, geez, how many times? I'd like to give you guys some context. When we did the first interview, there was no money coming into my business. Like, I just lost a one-to-one client and everything, and so literally took that, went, thanks, Miranda, did it like I reckon some days 6, 7 times a day. And I just thought, all right, well, I've just gotta stay committed. And eventually it just became easier. And like, you know, that first program came for you, something came in for me, and 2 rounds later, money, testimonials, like, whoa, okay, well, it does work. This energy stuff does shift over time. If you but the key thing that I got when you first shared it was, you didn't like it. If you have to do it 8 times, you do it 8 times. There's no,
At the beginning, you're just changing the Titanic's direction, like you're changing a ship. You've been, you know, and for me, it was like my whole life I was in this scarcity thing. So it wasn't just even that moment. I'd constantly been in fear. Like, if I'm looking at my vibration, where is it set? What's temperature gauge is it set at? It was like, yeah, shame, vibration. You know, that's where it was. And I had to turn it up. It doesn't just turn up straight away. I put the
yeah,
heater on, put it up to 25. Is it flipping freezing in Melbourne? It doesn't just go, you know, straight
yeah,
away. Like, it's time to grow, you know. And that's a big thing that I think most people get disappointed in with energetics, you know, is that there is a delay in the quantum field. There is a delay in the energetic world a lot of the time, especially if you've been holding a vibration that's the opposite for so long. Now, if I change like something or whatever, like sometimes it can happen in the next day or next hour or like, but that's because I've also been doing this for a long time, right? And my energetic shifted, but still sometimes I've got to do it for quite a while before I'll see it physically, right? And so you need to be really diligent and do what you can do and trust the laws of the universe are the laws. You know, law of gravity. I know if I jump over here, I'm going to jump. You know, if I jump off here, like I better not do that because you know it's like the law of the gravity doesn't just work for you and not me, right? It's the law.
Yes.
And so there's a law of concept. There's these laws in the energetic realm that if it works for me and Jordan, like it works for you. And you may have been disappointed and not seen it, blah blah, but you have just missed a step. You've just given up before you've seen it, or you know, you've wanted the evidence before you believe it. And it's like whenever I start with this stuff too, I always say to clients, just go into an experiment, go all in with it. You know, even though you're afraid of disappointment, whatever, accept all that, but go all in and go, all right, I'm giving this my full go for 2 months and I'll see. You know, it's like because a lot of people will do it for a week or and they're like, it's
Yeah.
not happening. When I was at the gym, I was a health coach. You don't go like, I know those people, right? People love it. It's like they don't, but this is the coaching industry and business too. They go for 3 days, work hard, eat real good, get on the scales, like nothing's happened, or one point, like, oh shit,
Yeah.
stuff. It's like that isn't helping. Like it's not
Yeah,
helping.
it's not helping. Yeah.
The
It's
coaches do it.
so yeah, and it's that whole thing, you know, it's just you decide once if it's true for you to go for it, what you're creating, then you do what is required internally to see it come to life on the outside.
Right? Yeah, you follow through and you dedicate and devote, and that is one thing. Your energetic focus and just going till the end is so important and powerful. Like I've I had one, and I've had this for a lot of launches where it just looks like the program's not going to fly or whatever, you know. And by the way, in the last 4 years of this work, I haven't had any not go the way I've wanted to go,
Mm,
right?
mm.
In the end. But there was one particularly, I did 7 weeks of launching this event. I was wanting 33 women to come. 7 had come in 7 weeks. And I was like, oh my goodness. Like it was, you know. But I wasn't connected to it energetically. I wasn't focused. I wasn't excited about it. I was just doing it because I said I was going to do it. Like there was no joy, excitement. Finally did a couple, like a day or two of like just energetic work around it, getting excited about it, looking at why I wanted to really do it from a heart space, like getting my heart plugged into it, right?
Mm. Just with that vision and truth circle you.
And just really going like, why do I want this? What's my
Yeah.
soul want? Like, what's my heart here? You know, what's the big reason for this? And
Mm.
getting excited about it, right? And then in the next day, I heard someone say something about a giveaway, and I was like, that's what I'm going to do. Like, that was my
Okay.
nudge.
Yeah.
Did that one thing. And then the next week, 33 women had joined right at the last part of the launch. And I was about to give up. I actually was going to stop that launch a number of times because I wasn't excited, wasn't whatever. But I just kept going because I was like, I said I was going to do the energetic work and I'm going to do it. And I'm going to learn, even if it doesn't work the way I want. I'm going to learn more from
Wow.
following. No. Yeah.
That's so powerful because yeah, you know, even in the work that I'm doing at the moment, I hear so often it's like, oh, you know, a few posts and it's not true for me anymore. But it was at the start. It's like, yeah, it's so I think what I really heard there, when you get started on something and you're launching, your energy can change midway, and you got to monitor it like your health. You eat too much of the bad wrong foods, and you know you got to monitor
Yeah.
how things are going, and don't just kind of go, all right, it's all good. I can go lie on a beach now and do nothing, because how you're feeling is magnetic.
It is. And like, you know, in that example you said, like the results don't lie. If you're like, if I step on the scales or whatever with the health thing, it's just feedback about what else I have to shift in here, you know, and also knowing sometimes there's a delay, you know, but if it's like 2 months and something's not happened, it's like, okay, I've got to shift. It's not then, oh, go Mac is like, that's not going to help. Like you just, what can you shift inside, you know,
Yes.
that's just a feedback thing. So if it's not launching and working, I did years of like doing everything I could and it wasn't working. I didn't believe it was a problem with me. I knew it was going to happen. I just didn't know when, right? So it was never a question of, is this going to work? It was like, when will it work? And what am I missing? Like, what part of my structure is missing? Like, what? And when I uncovered the superconscious, like, that was such a key piece for me in this energetic realm. And I just kept looking like a conveyor belt. It's like if you have a conveyor belt and you want to create a Sprite bottle, but it's having Coke or whatever, it's like you got to look at what part is you got to tweak, like that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a key thing because a lot of time we take it personally and we're like, I'm the one person who's unworthy, and it's like that's bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's missing here? It's a
Yeah.
structure.
It's a structure. That's it. That's it. I'm aware of our time here.
Yeah.
So the last question I have for you, if someone's in a position where it's like, all right, this has been great, Miranda. Thanks, Jordan. Great. But my money story. So like they're just convinced the money story, the track record has just stank for ages, and it hasn't worked. And they're just looking for something that can start to get the ball rolling in the right direction. Would you
Mm.
still say it's about that owning where you are and the vision, or have you got something else for them?
I think that's a really key practice. I think something that's also really powerful is something I alluded to in my story bit before, is that one of the most powerful things for me as an initial practice around money and energy and was to look in my timeline and actually spend hours, like 2 hours, whatever I needed, to go throughout my life in my childhood. What are the key like experiences and feelings and stories, not needing to
Yeah.
know all the story, but just the key feeling, the key story I made up about it, that happened throughout my life. And I just like whatever stood out, like whatever it was. And then I would look at my current patterns. But when I could see, as I said, for those 3 years of me trying, I didn't even see that I'd created anything. But when I was like, oh my goodness, I did this and this happened. I did this and this happened. I did this. And that was a reflection of my childhood. Like, what the F? Like, when I could actually see I created it, I was like, wow, it was like something unlocked of like, okay, I can now create something else. Like I've
Yeah.
just created what I don't want. And so that was really empowering. And I think that's really powerful for you to go and own your story and own your creations. Like, because when you're in a victim space, which I was for so long, and many of us can be in money and business or anything that we're struggled with, and we can't break through, we can get hopeless and helpless. And then there's no solution, right? So I think to really see your journey and your story and that you've created it is like first 101 step,
Yeah.
people. And particularly as well, the light thing I'll say about this is then this is why the truth and then the vision after that is so powerful, is because, Jody says this a lot, in that we're putting the power out of the memory of the past and into the imagination of the future and the vision of
Yeah.
the future.
Yeah.
So when I went on then the truth and then because I 33 years of my life had tried everything and not created money, like, or had issues with money or yo-yos or whatever. So for me to create a completely new reality now and never have that experience again, I had to put less focus and energy in my past,
Yeah.
see the truth, see the thoughts, see the past, see the patterns, whatever, let that be, and then go, what do I want? And imagine, spend more time in my imagination, spend more time in meditating, spend more time in visualizing, feeling what I wanted. Because really our reality is created because if we don't create what we want with money or anything, it's because we've got more focus and energy in our past and our fears. If we do create what we want, we've got more energy and focus in our love and what we desire and
Yeah.
want. That's it. That's like what happened with you. And when it pivoted and started to change, that was what you did. You just energetically shifted the gauge and the seesaw from here to here.
Yeah. Yeah. So powerful. So powerful. So if people are watching this and they're like, well, I got to go get more of Miranda and hang out with her, where can they find you?
So I'm, Miranda Marriott, or Miranda.Marriott on Instagram, Miranda Marriott on Facebook. I've got, mirandamarriott.com on my website. They're the main places that have lots of free resources and support. And I'll mention about my, my Fiji retreat and my alchemy mastermind and things. So yeah, they're the ways to find me, I think. The good ways.
Cool. Link it all up so people have access to it all. And yeah, thank you for doing round 2 of this. It's been great. It's been
Yeah,
fantastic.
it's been good with you. Thanks for your interviewing skills, Jordan.
All right.